remembering a World War II veteran from San Diego, his connection to Pearl Harbor, and getting ready to connect with the Red Planet, the NASA mission that takes us to the surface of Mars.
We're definitely going to see a good mix of busy airports and busy roadways this year.
Planes, trains, and automobiles, what we can expect when American travelers take off for the holiday weekend.
Father Joe's is getting ready to feed hundreds of families downtown. Coming up, we'll show you all the fixings and everything here. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Ebony Monet. The oldest known Pearl Harbor survivor has died. Ray Chavez was 106 years old and lived in Poway. His family says he passed away overnight in his sleep. KPBS reporter Priya Sridhar has more.
Ray Chavez had just wrapped up an overnight shift on the minesweeper USS Condor just hours before the attack on Pearl Harbor. His crew made the first enemy contact that day, spotting a periscope of a Japanese submarine in the harbor, then blowing it up. In an interview with KPBS, Chavez says he was proud of his service.
I'm very proud that I served our country and did what little I could to help win the war.
Chavez was born in San Bernardino and died at his home in Poway. At 106 years old, he was the oldest known Pearl Harbor survivor. Priya Sridhar, KPBS News.
Today, a San Diego cannabis business was granted a permit to keep operating despite objections from its neighbor. Vista Prime Management has been operating out of a Kearny Mesa office with temporary permission next door to a Christian church. Some church members spoke out against Vista Prime at this morning's hearing. City code requires a 1,000-foot separation between churches and cannabis businesses, but the city approved the new permit because the church has been operating without a permit of its own. The UC San Diego School of Medicine is the recipient of a $1 million grant from Stand Up to Cancer for research on pancreatic cancer. KPBS host Sally Hickson explains.
A group of local researchers will team up with researchers from UC San Francisco. They'll use the grant for preclinical tests of drugs that could curb the growth and progression of pancreatic cancer cells in combination with chemotherapy. Long-term, the researchers hope to complete clinical trials with the drugs. Surgery is the only current treatment for pancreatic cancer with the potential to cure patients. But metastasized pancreatic cancer cells are common, and surgery is only recommended for about 20% of patients. Pancreatic cancer is the fourth leading cause of cancer death in men and women. Sally Hickson, KPBS News.
Damages from the Camp Fire in Northern California may add up to $10 billion. Fire crews have been fighting this fire for the last 2 weeks. The fire has burned more than 150,000 acres. 81 people are confirmed dead. An assemblyman from San Gabriel Valley wants to introduce a measure to allow utilities like PG&E to pass on some wildfire-related cost to customers. PG&E says its focus right now is helping customers recover. Volunteers are helping Camp Fire survivors rebuild. One couple started a program to help the people displaced by the Camp Fire. Their Facebook page, called Paradise Fire Adopt a Family, has gone viral. It now includes a website for people who are not connected to Facebook. Fire survivors can answer a survey to be matched with volunteers who are willing to adopt families stranded without food, water, supplies, and shelter.
They're going to need financial support. They're going to need many, many things. But I think right now, if you can love on somebody, if you can connect with somebody, if you can get on the phone with one of them, any kind of a personal connection, that I think is a crucial element to this entire story.
The group has 10,000 Facebook followers. The couple says they've helped so far 100 families. This is the start of a busy holiday weekend. As Capitol Public Radio's Steve Milne reports, California's roads and airports are expected to be busier this year.
AAA's latest survey finds that 6.8 million Californians will be hitting the road or flying this week. That's up 5% from last year. Michael Blasky is with AAA of Northern California.
Most people, about 90%, are going to be choosing to drive, but we are going to see a big bump this year in terms of air travel. That's up almost 6% this year over last year, which is even larger than the nation's increase that we're seeing. So we're definitely going to see a good mix of busy airports and busy roadways this year.
He says more than 770,000 Californians will be flying, and most of them booked their flights between September and October, paying an average ticket price of just under $500 round trip. People driving can expect to pay the highest Thanksgiving gas prices in 4 years, with a statewide average of $3.75, which is 54 cents more than a year ago. In Sacramento, I'm Steve Milne.
Hundreds of volunteers are standing by now to serve up a Thanksgiving feast. Father Joe's will share a holiday meal with veterans, families, and children, and they're expecting a packed house tonight. KPBS reporter Matt Hoffman joins us from the Joan Kroc Center, where guests are about to be served. Matt?
Yeah, Ebony, we're down here right now at Father Joe's Villages, and as you can see around here, people are hungry. They're about ready to start serving up these Thanksgiving meals. They have turkey, they have stuffing, bread, all the fixings down here, and it's all really a big community effort that goes down here, led impartially by Deacon Jim Vargas. Deacon Jim, how do you guys pull all this together every year?
Oh, well, you know what? It's through a lot of love and a lot of work. And what you see here, you see all these volunteers, actually. We have someone who's been with us. This is his third year in a row, Danny Martinez, who's a UFC champion fighter. And years ago, he came to us wanting to do something, and he's just fallen in love with this particular day, and he's here religiously. And this year, actually, I hope you get to meet him and speak with him, Matt, because this year he has a face painter for the kids, a balloon maker, so he's really gone all out. And it's what we're trying to do is normalize an otherwise not normal situation for these individuals, right? And especially this time of year where it's festive and for the little ones, right? So if nothing else, we want to show them that we care for them, that we love them. And so, of course, we're, over 2,000 people we will have provided meals for just today, right? And there was 700 pounds of turkey that our team prepared in the kitchens. We had 300 pounds of sweet potatoes, 300 pounds of string beans, and all the trimmings there. And it's all for the purpose of serving a nutritious meal and celebrating Thanksgiving with those who we serve here.
Right, yeah, obviously, here we're talking about celebrating Thanksgiving, a big holiday for families. Obviously, these people are here today. Do you think this means more than a meal to families, or what does this mean to families besides just a meal?
Oh, it is more than a meal. I mean, and we become their family, and it means that they don't have to be on the streets, as an example. It means that, especially for the parents, that they can show their children better. All right, that they're here in a warm environment and they're getting good food and they're being, their faces are being painted and so forth. I mean, these kids, they love to run around, right? That's what kids do. And so, like I said, it's just a matter of making them feel welcomed.
Right, and this is all leading up to you guys' big turkey trot tomorrow going on in Balboa Park. Tell us about that, and can people still register for that?
Absolutely. It's our 17th annual. Ours is the oldest and the largest, and I want to say the most fun, obviously. We're expecting 7,000 to 7,500 individuals tomorrow. It's quite large. It's at Balboa Park, as you mentioned. You can register at ThanksgivingRun.org. ThanksgivingRun.org, or even come down tomorrow and register. It's a fun time. People will come and run if they want. Others, they come and they dress up their dogs like turkeys and so forth in costumes. It's great to see. We have Disney characters for the children. And actually, right after the race, we have a beer garden for the adults. And that's become very popular over the years. So it's a great way to start off your Thanksgiving. That's a day where we're reminded of our many blessings and how we should show our gratitude by giving back.
Yeah, Deacon Jim, thank you so much. And all the proceeds of that go to help homeless people and their families as well. And as we said, we're here downtown, Father Joe's. They're getting ready to start serving all these meals. They have a few hundred people they're going to serve tonight, but as they mentioned, over 1,000 people today. Live here downtown, Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Thanks, Matt. The next big thing after turkey may be pie. One San Diego charity wants to make dessert easier for you. As KPBS video journalist Katie Shulov shows us, they're also helping families in need.
Oh, it looks wonderful.
More than 100 pies were waiting for hungry customers like Ina Price on Wednesday at this Mission Hills pickup location, one of 21 around San Diego County.
I have vanilla ice cream that goes with it, and it's going to be great. My family's going to love it, and I don't have to bake it. And Mama's Kitchen gets the monetary so that they can help pay for all the good stuff that they do.
Price paid $25 for her Dutch apple. Every purchased pie, pecan and pumpkin too, supplies 8 meals for those in need. The meals are prepared by volunteers at Mama's Kitchen in City Heights, then delivered to people with critical illnesses. They've sold about 4,000 pies, enough money for 48,000 meals. Katie Shulov, KPBS News.
It's dry for now, but tomorrow you might want to pack your umbrella, especially if you live in North County. Melissa Constanzer breaks down the timing of the rain sweeping in.
Big changes for us in the weather department. You've probably heard about that chance of rain and certainly seen quite a bit of it upstate. Of course, this is good news for those wildfire areas. However, it can also be bad news because too much rain through northern central California too fast can create that risk for mudslides. I don't think it's a problem for us because at most we're talking 1/4 to 1/2 inch. As we go through tonight's forecast here, you'll notice the clouds are out there and also that chance for a few stray showers. Oceanside, you could pick up a stray shower as well. San Diego coming in at 59 for your low. And as you look around the area, yes, a lot of places coming in the 40s or 50s. Ramona 49, a couple clouds, a couple showers out there. So again, be prepared for that. As we head through tonight, cloudy, pretty late, stray showers, certainly in the possibility of things. 59 for the metro itself. As we work your way into Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, here's more of that rain. It's mostly to the north, but there will be some showers early in the day for us. And then I think things quiet down. So for the forecast as we head into tomorrow, you'll see here Oceanside holding on to the upper 60s. And as we look around the area, San Diego coming in at 69 for that high. Meanwhile, Mount Laguna coming in at 49 here. Certainly a few showers out there, and that's really basically going to be the story early on through the day. The rest of it is pretty quiet. So that forecast, we start off at 2 a.m. A couple sprinkles, especially in those northern areas working through. Here comes that chance for rain over the next couple of hours early Thanksgiving morning. We're talking 7:30 here, a couple stray showers in the area. At most, it's 1/4 of an inch, maybe a 1/2 inch of rain, and then it's gone. And Thanksgiving Day looking pretty quiet through the rest of it. So along the coast here, those numbers in the 60s or 70s with sunshine in the next couple of days, just that chance for a shower again tomorrow morning. That's Thanksgiving morning. We'll find that as well inland where we're in the upper 60s. Then we're back to 70 degrees for Friday and Saturday and into the mid 70s as we go beyond that. The mountain area coming in the 40s to start off with, working our way back to the 50s once we get drier in the days to come. And here's a look at those temperatures in the mid 70s for the desert.
NASA's exploration of the red planet continues. After a 6-month journey, lander Project Insight is set to touch down on Mars Monday. If all goes well, the unmanned spacecraft will spend the next 2 years drilling into the planet's surface.
That is the first mission that's going to study the deep interior of Mars. So what we've done in the past is send rovers and landers that really explore the geology of Mars, the chemistry of the surface, what kind of rocks are there. We're going to explore the deep interior and try to understand how active are the quakes on Mars. We call them Mars quakes, not earthquakes. And then we're also sending a probe that's going to drill into Mars about 10 to 15 feet. And it's going to understand the heat that flows from the core of Mars. And so all this information will help us understand, is there a liquid core, a solid core? How did Mars form as a planet? And this will help us understand how Earth, as well as any rocky planet in our universe, formed.
NASA says the project's success hinges on a programmed 6-minute descent. By the time anyone hears back from Mars, the whole thing will be over. The man behind The Onion, a popular satirical online news site, takes on big tech and Elon Musk. His new book is called Welcome to the Future, Which is Mine. He sits down with KQED's Thuy Vu.
You know, there are lots of tech giants you could have chosen to skewer in your book. Why did you choose Elon Musk?
He's the funniest, he's the weirdest, and he's the one that has the most kind of public image. You know, a lot of these guys hide in their billion-dollar lairs or whatever, wherever they live.
But Musk loves to tweet.
He's kind of, he's out there, he's tweeting, he's doing stuff. So I figure, you know, if you're if you're in the public sphere, you're going to get mocked a little bit.
Well, in your book, you include a number of what you call inspirational quotes from Elon Musk. And one of them is, the key to success is to ask yourself, what's the most ludicrous, most asinine, most futile thing I could possibly do, then make it happen. You don't like any of his ideas?
Oh, no, I think his ideas are kind of cool. Like, I think on some level you have to admire someone that you satirize, but you also have to find them pretty ridiculous. Because if it's too mean-spirited, then it's not funny or interesting, you know, so.
Have you heard from him ever since you wrote the book?
No, but in fact, he has been poaching writers from The Onion to create some kind of secret comedy enterprise or something. And I know a lot of the people who he's poached, and I contacted them to see, like, what's this project? What's going on? Radio silence.
He's writing a book about you in retaliation.
Maybe he's right. Yeah, that would be a big hit. Everybody wants to know about me. No, I think he's shuttling them to his private island, and he's going to hunt them for sport. That's what I think is going to happen.
But first, he's going to shoot them there in a, you know,
yeah, or maybe he'll take
capsule.
them to his private planet, and there's like a, you know, a human hunting ground there, where he and other billionaires, like the Trump sons, for example, can hunt the most dangerous game.
All right, I think you've got a sequel in the making. In the meantime, I mean, you also poke fun at Mark Zuckerberg as well. He's not spared. Your book includes a so-called foreword from him, where he says, if you partake in this book, you must, quote, first give me all of your personal information. It's kind of a funny line until you think about, you know, the data breach they just had recently affecting 50 million users.
Yeah, you know, there's so many times you'll write something and you'll think it's absurd and ridiculous or whatever, and then something in real life will happen. It's like, oh, I guess it wasn't that absurd after all. So yeah, no, this was a great opportunity to make fun not just of Elon Musk, but just kind of all of those tech billionaire celebrities, basically, is what they've become. So, you know, we make fun of Bezos in there, and Thiel, and even Richard Branson gets a couple of hits. You know, it's fun.
Do you think that big tech is basically a big monoculture now? There's
I mean, I don't know much about it. Like, I don't live here, and I don't know, you know, any more than, you know, a common Midwesterner would know about it. But it strikes me as very amusing, and just like people who are sort of living on the cusp of the future and wanting to make the future, basically, with their inventions and with their money, and that's just fascinating to me.
And aside from tech, we live in politically turbulent times right now. Does that make satire easier, since you seem to have no shortage of targets nowadays?
Yeah, no, that's a hard question. You're interrogating me more than the FBI investigated Brett Kavanaugh.
Ooh.
I like beer. Okay, I still like beer.
Did you have more than one beer?
No, just let's be fair. Can we just please treat me fairly? I like rubbing up against people. Oh. So, no, satire is easy, always, because there's always terrible people. There's always awful things going on in the world. And the point of satire is to point those things out with humor. And sometimes it seems like things are more absurd or things are more crazy. I really just think that's a surface, like, you know, underneath, humans are always going to be pretty awful to each other, so there's going to be plenty to satirize. And, you know, what's worse is when things are so absurd that the satire you write just comes true all the time. You think you're writing something crazy and absurd, and then it comes true in real life. So, I don't know, it's kind of the gold standard for me when that happens.
You've also written that good satire afflicts the comfortable and comforts the afflicted. Can you expand on that? How do you decide who or what to target? Yeah, so if you go after an oppressed group or somebody who's down and out, like, it's just not funny. Nobody wants to see that. But if you go after authority figures or billionaires or whatever, everybody wants to see them brought down a peg. So yeah, it's pretty simple. And a lot of times, stuff I've done, especially stuff for The Onion, has been perceived as very edgy and maybe inappropriate or whatever. And that's when, you know, you might get perilously close to seeming like you're making fun of the wrong target or whatever, but the subtext is always going after the right target, hopefully, like if you do it right. Something where there's a true injustice, something legitimately wrong. Absolutely. Okay. What is I'm a good guy. Like, I'm not not trying to tear down. No, I'm terrible. What's the difference between humor and satire? Another great question. So humor is just funny. Like,
try not to laugh videos, you know, Aunt Myrtle slipping and falling in the backyard. Everybody loves that. Or like, you know, a funny piece by Dave Barry about how, you know, I can't believe I'm 50. Or I hate taking out the trash. Don't you hate taking out the trash? That's humor. But satire, well, it's fun, you know, it's good and it's good jokes. But satire is when you find something wrong with humanity or with the world, like you said, some kind of injustice, and you point it out through humor. So there's like a secret nugget. Nobody wants to be preached to. Nobody wants to be told what's wrong with them, but they all want jokes. So the jokes are like the honey on the spoon, and the satire, you know, the subtext is like the crumpled up medicine that they're getting with the honey.
The new book is called Welcome to the Future, Which Is Mine. You can watch more of this interview on kqed.org.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, combing through the ashes. The search for fire victims in California could be hampered by storms. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Photographer Platon has captured portraits of the most famous and powerful people on the planet, from Bill Clinton to Vladimir Putin. He tells PBS NewsHour how he breaks down barriers with his camera lens.
A portrait to me is about closeness. It's about truth. Sometimes someone's fame and power and success actually becomes a prison, and the person knows better than anybody that they can't live up to that ideal. My job is not to be disrespectful, but to be authentic, to say, who are you really? The first American president I ever came into contact with was Bill Clinton. The magazine said, we want a nice, dignified headshot. I thought to myself, look, I'm never going to be in front of another president ever again anyway, so I might as well do the picture that I was born to do. I shouted out, Mr. President, will you show me the love? And there was silence in the room. I think his chief of staff leaned forward and said, Mr. President, whatever you do not show him the love. But Clinton then says, shut up, I know what he means. He puts his hands on his knees and gives me that Clinton charisma. It became an icon of controversy, dubbing it as the crotch shot, that it's all about sex, that the tie is actually an arrow, that the face is smiling, saying, I got away with the biggest sex scandal ever. It wasn't about any of those things. It was about charisma. He's a rock and roll president. I was led into Mark Zuckerberg's office where we were going to do the picture. His neck was tense, his eyes were wide open, and he almost resisted every opportunity I made to connect with him. And then I said to him, you know, you've succeeded more than any other person I've ever met on the planet, but you must have failed along the way. And when you fail, how do you cope with failure? And he looked at me and he said, there is no failure. I just love what I do. So I said, show me. And everything changed. It's extraordinary what a simple question can do that connects with his value system. With Putin, I think that was the first moment I ever had to deal with this sense of intimidation. He walks in with this giant entourage that makes P. Diddy look like Mickey Mouse. I nervously said, Mr. President, it's a great honor to be in your fine country. I have a question for you. Before we take the picture, I want you to know that I'm an Englishman and I love the Beatles. And I would like to know if you like the Beatles. He says, I love the Beatles. I said, oh my God, I didn't know you spoke English. He said, I speak perfect English. I said, well, who's your favorite Beatle? And he said, Paul. Wow. What's your favorite song? Is it Back in the USSR? And he said, no, it's Yesterday. Think about it. I ended up 1.5 inches away from his nose. And that's how I got the truth. This is the cold face of power in Russia. I worked with Donald Trump quite a while ago, But even back then, there was this chaos and madness that surrounded him. I remember saying to him, Donald, how do you weather the storm? It's madness around you wherever you go, whatever you do, whatever you say. There's this sort of frenetic energy. Suddenly, this quiet calm came over him, and he said, I am the storm. All this sort of frenetic, crazy energy and sense of chaos is very easy for Donald to navigate through that because he created it. And it's actually us that can't cope with it. My name is Platon, and this is my brief but spectacular take on speaking truth to power.
This was part of our NewsHour's brief but spectacular take series. You can see more of these interviews on pbs.org/newshour. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. And tonight we leave you with the sounds of Salt Wizard performing at Capitol Public Radio. Thank you for joining us. Have a great night.